If you've ever typed the question, "Why has my business plateaued?" into a search bar or asked out loud to whatever AI assistant you talk to now, you already know the feeling that put it there. It's the Sunday evening one, where you reach for your phone to check something and your chest tightens before you've even opened it. It's quoting at midnight because that's the only genuinely quiet hour you get all day. It's looking at what the business made this year against the hours you personally poured into it and finding that the two numbers no longer match the way they once did. And underneath all of it, it's the quiet recognition that every decision that actually matters still routes back through you. Nothing important moves until you've touched it, weighed in on it, or signed off on it. And you didn't build it to feel like this. You built something real over the years. Good clients, a reputation you're proud of, a team that does the work. But somewhere along the way, it stopped rewarding the effort the way it used to. And so I'm not going to hand you 5 tips and a motivational send-off. I'm going to give you the actual diagnosis, what a plateau really is underneath the surface, what most often causes it, what it looked like in a real business I worked with, and what you can do about it on Monday morning. So let's start with what a plateau actually is, because the word gets used loosely, and the looseness is part of what keeps owners stuck on the plateau. The plateau is where the problem shows up. It isn't the problem itself. It's the stage where the plan that got the business here stops being the plan that takes it any further. And so you push on the same model, the same way you always have. And the thing that used to respond just holds flat where it is. More effort in, same result out. So that's the where. The what sits underneath it. And in the businesses we look at, the most common cause we find is that the business has quietly come to run on the owner. Revenue depends on you being in the deal. If you're not in the room, it doesn't close. The whole thing runs on the instinct of individuals rather than a shared, transferable method, and so nothing can be really taught, repeated, or handed to anyone else. And the measuring, where there is any, only ever lands on outcomes, the revenue, the totals at the end of the month, never on the actions that drive them. So when a number comes in soft, there's nothing to coach and nothing to adjust, just a result to be unhappy with. Here's the trap that holds it all in place, and it's worth naming because it's the part that feels like progress. The surface keeps on offering you quick fixes, more leads, a new website, a rebrand, and every one of them looks like momentum. And so you do it, and the surface shifts a little, but the plateau underneath holds exactly where it was. And the reason is simple once you see it. Not one of those fixes touches the model itself, and working harder on the same model is the very thing that stalled the business in the first place. You can't break out of a plateau with more of the effort that built it, and that's why it's a plateau and not a hill. Let me show you how that plays out in a real business, because it's easy to nod at in abstract and completely miss it in your own numbers. I worked with a well-established services company, good reputation, real clients, an owner who was sharp and experienced and had built the thing from nothing. They came to me certain they were losing to competitors. That was the story the whole team had told itself. The market had got more crowded, the rivals had got more aggressive, and the deals that they should have won were slipping away to the other guy. And so we did something fairly simple. We pulled their top 20 losses from the year and we went through them one at a time, asking of each one what had actually happened. And 16 of those 20 had never gone to a competitor at all. The client had simply decided to do nothing. They stayed where they were, made no move, chose the status quo over any change. The competitor they believed that they were losing to barely came into it at all. What they were really losing to was inaction on deals that were never properly qualified going in. And the pipeline was full of them. Deals that were alive on paper and dead in reality because somewhere back in the beginning, the need had been assumed and never actually tested. Nobody had asked why this client, why now, and what had genuinely changed for them. And carrying all of that took real capacity. The time, the attention, the follow-up, the hope poured week after week into work that was never going to close. And so we requalified it, honestly, and we cut the deals that were dead. And that was it. No new hire, no new system, no clever tactic, just rigor applied to what was already there. And doing that handed back the capacity that they'd been quietly burning on ghosts. In the first half of the following year, that business doubled. So what do you actually do with this on a Monday morning? Well, there are 4 things, and not one of them needs anyone else's permission but your own. So start with the aim you've been chasing, the number sitting in your head, whether that's fewer hours, more leads, or the hire you kept meaning to make. Ask yourself what having it would actually give you, and then ask the very same question of whatever answers come back. 2 or 3 passes in, you'll usually land on something that doesn't have a number on it at all. And that's the real thing you've been working towards the whole time. And it's worth knowing that before you spend another year marching hard at the wrong target. And then pull up your pipeline and go down it deal by deal, asking 2 questions of each one. Why now, and what changed for them? If there's a real answer, something shifted on their side that put this in motion, then it's a live deal and it deserves your energy. If there isn't, if the honest answer is that you sent a price and they went quiet, then it isn't a deal yet, however good it looks sitting there in the forecast. Now look at what you measured last month. If the only things you wrote down were outcomes, the revenue, the totals, the figure at the bottom, then you are measuring the stuff you can no longer do anything about. Pick one lead activity instead, one action that drives the result rather than just reporting it after the fact, and count that this week. The number that's still in front of you rather than the one that's behind you. And then the last one, which is the quietest one but tells you the most. Count how many of the last 10 wins you had you personally in the deal, not nearby, not cheering from the side, but in it, the actual reason it closed. Whatever that number turns out to be, that's your diagnosis. That's the height of the ceiling, measured in the one currency that really matters, and it's the honest picture of how much of this still runs on you and only you. And so here's where all of this lands in the end. The way off the plateau was never to push harder from the front of the business. That's the instinct that got you to the edge of it, and it's the one thing we can say with confidence doesn't move it. The way off is building the thing solid enough that you can stand behind it, so that the deals close when you're not in the room, and that the growth lives in the business rather than in your head. If you want to see where you'd place yourself against that, there's a short self-assessment on our site. 7 areas, you place yourself by gut, and there's no email asked and nothing captured at the end. It's just for you, a way to see where the honest picture sits today. And that's the first step off the plateau, seeing clearly where you actually are.